What do you think best explains what happened to Jesus at that time? 5 different ways of understanding the stories of Jesus' temptation. The first option is the traditionally most accepted one, and that is that it was real and concrete. This bun, the loaf of bread that was tempting Jesus, all real. Exactly what you think it is. It's as if the writers of Luke and Matthew, they had cameras and they were recording exactly what the temptation was like. The other option, the indigenous people often did this, is they would go out for a spiritual quest. And in that quest, they would often starve themselves, similar to what Jesus did. And in a vision-like state, they would receive some kind of connection with the Spirit, and that Spirit would guide them. That the temptation was all in Jesus' mind. He envisioned being up on a mountain, seeing all the kingdoms. The temptation was as real in his mind, but it wasn't real concrete in his life. The third option, myth. E.P. Sanders is a big advocate of this one, that we can understand the Gospels best as, yes, Jesus experienced some sort of temptation or trials out in the wilderness. That before he began his ministry, that he was thinking about, what should I do? Who am I the man to be? But the things about the devil and the kingdoms being passed in front of him, those were all like special effects. They're there to enhance the story. They're not actually part of the original history, but they do enhance the story in which we do. We read and we learn about to make the story better. The temptation is great to eat this burn. I'm obviously feeling it. The next one's put by Dale Allison. He suggests that we best understand the temptations and trials of Jesus as Haggadic, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's a Hebrew word. It's like a story to teach about the rabbi. Kind of like the value of the beginner series. The value of respect. Abraham Lincoln. They're wonderful children's stories. I read these as a kid. They're not actually there to teach us about all the nitty-gritty facts of what happened in the life of Abraham Lincoln. No, this one ultimately is about teaching the kids the value of respect. Dale Allison proposes that the temptation stories are exactly that. And finally, we have that they're a parable. That no, there is no history behind them at all. I'm just picking on the Star Wars right now. Don't even get me started whether 4, 5, 6 is the better than the 1, 2, and 3. We all enjoy the stories of Star Wars. And yes, like many of Jesus' parables, we can learn lessons and morals from them. But none of us think that Star Wars is true. Even though the story is vivid and compelling, it's not a true story. And that's how you would understand this temptation of Jesus in that way. Within that spectrum, those 5 ideas, you have a very concrete, real temptation and trial of Jesus. You have a vision state in which he experienced something in his mind, but it didn't actually happen in this world, which helps it be easier to explain mountaintop experience, etc. Or you have some historical events happening behind, but added a little bit of myth, a little more special effects to make the story more compelling. Then moving a little bit further down the spectrum, there is history behind it only in that the person has his natural character, that Jesus really was that type of person. He knew his scriptures. He overcame demonic powers. But we're not talking about the actual events happening. And then finally, we have it's all just a great story. A story told about Jesus to explain a point, to show that he overcame temptation and he overcame sin. But there is no historical event that ever happened.